Welcome. This is Meet the Candidate. This morning we have Melissa Janssen. She is District 25.
Correct.
Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this.
Absolutely.
As we've always said, this is an opportunity for the candidates to really get to let the people know who they are and what they've done in the past. And so, Melissa, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
So I am an Eau Claire native, born and raised, grew up and have spent almost all of my life on the north side of Eau Claire. So I graduated from North High School and then went on to study Spanish and political science at UW Eau Claire. After I graduated, I moved about as far away from Eau Claire as you can get. I actually moved all the way down to South America. And I lived in Guayaquil, Ecuador for 3.5 years, and it was an incredible experience. I met my husband down there. I loved everything about it. But the one thing that it taught me is it gave me a new sense of appreciation for Eau Claire and how great this community is. I was living in a city of 3 million people, and it just, it's very different.
Yeah,
and
that's quite a change.
It really showed me, you know, one of the things that I value so much is the sense of community that we have here. Everybody is so friendly. When you walk down the street, people just say hi and wave, and they really are invested in making this just a great place for everybody to live and to work and to grow. And then the other thing that I really realized is how lucky we are to be surrounded by such amazing nature. We have rivers and trees and recreation, and that was something that I didn't realize was how I dealt with stress. And so just being able to be back and to go out and to take a walk and to enjoy the trees has been fantastic. And so since returning to the States, my first job was I worked as a protective behaviors educator for the Family Support Center up in Chippewa Falls. Then I was with the Boys and Girls Club in Eau Claire, and now I work for Royal Credit Union. I'm a financial educator for them. And so I oversee our student-run credit union branches at North and Memorial High School in that role.
Really good.
Yeah.
So, kind of give a little background of how you started. You kind of told me a little bit about how you got into the board for the first go around, and then kind of tell me why are you running for re-election?
Well, previous to me being elected, it was Supervisor Olson who was in this seat, and I had heard that he was planning on not seeking re-election, and so I called him and asked if he was interested in running, and he said that he would like a little break from that, and that if I was interested, that I had his full support. So people always love that story because they think it's funny that the incumbent was the first person to sign my nomination paper, which is a little bit different. But the reason why I did it, I majored in political science, but now in my day-to-day job, I don't get to use that as often as I like. And so I've always been very invested in giving back and serving the community. And this county board really attracted me because of the work that it does to protect our vulnerable populations. And so having worked at Boys and Girls Club and with the Family Support Center, I really had a good perspective of our health and human services and our child protective services and all of the support that goes into that. I also had a chance to partner with UW Extension, which I am proud to serve on that committee. They came in and they worked with the Boys and Girls Club to do a kids garden program every year, and they do a ton of fabulous things. And so I had connections with that. And then as a financial educator, I actually have the opportunity to do financial education in the Eau Claire County Jail. And so that just gave me a perspective of the great efforts that our Criminal Justice Collaborating Council is doing and about some of the more work that we need to do to kind of help with that program and help prevent recidivism.
Okay. So in wanting to go for re-election, tell me 2 or 3 things that are a real major issue on your agenda to look at and to kind of try to move forward.
So the big one that I think is on a lot of our agenda is our housing and homelessness. And that's really, there's been a big passion for me in that because a community in our area that's been getting a lot of attention is the Maples Mobile Home Park. And it's just been a situation where there's residents that are living in homes that are not safe. for
Okay.
habitation. But these folks have rental barriers. Maybe they have past evictions or past things like that that are making it hard for them when there is such a housing shortage
Yeah.
to find somewhere else to go. And so the Maples community falls within my district. So one of the things that has been really rewarding is we've been partnering with other community organizations like the Jonah Affordable
Okay.
Housing Task
Yeah.
Force. And we've really been working to make sure that these residents have a seat at the table. And so we hosted a meeting where officials from the city, from the county health department, the owners of the trailer park, and the residents all got to sit down and talk about the situation and
Okay.
kind of look for answers. And so it's been a slow process, but we have had some gains in that. There are still families that we need to find additional housing
Okay.
for, but it's really been great seeing how we can make positive change if we all come together. And so really what I want to focus on is how can we accomplish more by working together.
Okay.
And so with that, the one big thing that we've kind of decided is a goal for this year that we'd like to achieve is we want to create a tenant resource center, because there's lots of people out there that are working on this issue, which is incredible. I just had the opportunity to sit at the Dairyland Housing Coalition, and there were representatives from Western Dairyland, from Catholic Charities, from the Community Table, from Positive Avenues, from all sorts of different organizations. We have a lot of organizations in our community that are trying to address this because there is a great need. At that meeting, they discussed that their point in time survey. So basically what that is they go out and they see how many people are out on the streets at night without a place to stay. The previous year they found 6. This year they found 11. So it's
wow.
almost doubled.
Yeah.
And so it is something that's going on. So we have all of these great groups that are working on things. What the disconnect is the tenants that are finding themselves going through hardships don't know how to connect themselves with these resources.
Okay.
And so creating a tenant resource center would be a good service for both the tenants and landlords, because we've spoken with landlords and they might be willing to rent to somebody that has some barriers, some rental barriers, but they want to know that they have some support too, somebody that they can go to if there are issues. Or other landlords have said that, they have a tenant that has fallen on hard times and they don't know how to help them.
Okay.
And they don't want to evict them, but they also have, a lot of the landlords in our areas are small business owners, and they depend on that rent for themselves and for their families to survive as well. And so that's kind of one of the big goals that I'd really like to see accomplished. I think there's a great need for that. The other thing that I'm really interested in, like I mentioned with my work outside of the county board, is creating a community-based reentry program. And so right now what we have is during my time on the county board, I was very happy to see that we implemented a social worker within the jail actually working with people before they are released to kind of create plans. But there's an immediate need that moment that they're getting released, because a lot of times what will happen is a person they'll serve their time, and then when they're let go, you don't know how much time has passed. And so maybe it was somebody that served several months and they were picked up in June, and now they're getting released in January in the shorts and the flip-flops that they came in June, and they have a dead cell phone with no charger, and they don't have that person that they want to make a call to, or they don't have access to those resources that they need. And so while they may have created a plan while they were in there, in that immediate moment when they're getting released, they don't have those immediate resources that we need. And so there's a brand new nonprofit organization that's starting up. It's called Roundtable Revival. So it's just kind of starting to get going, and they're looking at creating a space where they can have peer counselors who have gone through similar things, who can be available and set up within a block's walking distance of the county jail, so that we can direct people to go there immediately. And so, one of the things that is really challenging about county government is we have limited funding.
Right.
And so basically how county government works is we are an arm of the state. So we can't do anything unless there's a state statute that says that we can do it. And so we can't do anything to increase our funding beyond what the state statute allows. And so, but we are mandated to provide services. And so in order to be successful, I think we need to reach out and work as a community as a whole. And so that's
a very
one.
tight line to walk when you know already ahead of time that you are kind of behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and it's, one of the things, the levy limits were put in several years back, and at the time that the levy limit cap was going on, it was also when the community was going through the potential loss of the Uniroyal plant, and so they wanted to be conservative about the levy limit at that time because that was the decision that was best for the community. But now, several years moving forward, it's still something that we're affecting, and so being fiscally responsible is our number one priority on the county board. And so, how can we make sure that we are using the county services that are available, like we have amazing social workers. We have just everybody who works for the county is amazing. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in my time serving on the county board is we have such incredible staff who have such a passion for the things that they do in every area of it. But how can we have them do their services, but how can we connect other community members to fill in those gaps to help really solve the problem? So, the reentry program would be another one, and then, gosh, there's so many. You said 3, and I've got kind of 2, so I'll do short summary of 2. I think rural broadband, that's an infrastructure issue. There are people just outside the city of Eau Claire, just 10, 15 minutes that don't have access to rural broadband, and that's something that our students need to learn. That's something that businesses need to be successful. That's something that we need our rural communities to have to grow, and also our farming families. Our farming families have been, they're already struggling through a lot of things, and with a lot of farming, there's been great technological developments. We're going to see that. We're going to see that showcased here coming up because we're going to be hosting Farm Technology Days in Eau Claire County this year, and so that's going to be really exciting. But if you look at that and you look at all of the technology that's available there, they need that access to that rural broadband to be able to efficiently use those tools and to stay competitive. And so that's one. And then obviously, like I said, one of my big ties for coming back was the nature of this area. So just making sure that we're protecting our county parks and that we're protecting all of our natural resources. So I also serve on the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, and they have their Eau Claire watershed project that they're working on that I'm really passionate about, just really educating people on how their day-to-day activities can affect their neighbors, because watersheds don't follow borders or anything like that. They have their own ways, and so what we do here affects those that are downriver from us, and vice versa. And so, just really making sure that we're delivering that message and empowering everybody to be a part of making Eau Claire a better place to live, to work, to learn, to play.
Yeah, you bring up so many issues that people really need to know about. And in working with the county, the city, the school board, that's one of the things that that Valley Media wants to do more of getting those information out, because I don't know how well everybody understands the whole picture. When you look at if you're reelected, the next terms is, with the things that you've identified, was there anything that kind of sticks out that has a real pertinence that needs to be addressed more than anything else?
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's a tough one, because and that's kind of the role that we're in, is a lot of what Eau Claire County does with our county services. I mean, there's lots of things that we do that keep the lights running in the county, like our
Right.
bless our county highway department and everything that they had to deal with in 2019. There's lots of those things, but a lot of the work that happens is really working to protect our most vulnerable populations. And so, you know, right now we're seeing a increased need for child protective services. And because of that, we've seen an increase in spending in our health and human services budget.
Right.
And so it's balancing those needs because, you know, that also under Health and Human Services, we have Aging and Disability Resource Center, which is another huge
area.
population that needs assistance. And so it's balancing the needs of the people that we're seeing with the limited budget constraints that we have because it has historically the past couple of years, our Health and Human Services Department has come in over budget, and that's not sustainable. And so we need to create sustainable, lasting solutions to those issues.
I think with the things that I've found out, people don't. I don't know if all the people understand that because you are our arm of the state, that really there's mandates that have to be given to you. So if funds aren't supplied, they do expect you to take it out of what you're already getting.
Right. So what's interesting is the state mandates that you have to provide services,
Okay.
but they don't mandate to what level you have to provide the services. And so some of the things that we could be doing, they could say, well, that's really going above and beyond, and you don't need to be doing all of that, and you could cut back. But then how do you cut back when you've been providing those services? And so it really is just a constant, you know, reprioritization of what are the biggest needs in our community right now, what are the struggles that we're currently facing. And so unfortunately, one of the struggles that our community is currently facing is issues with opioid abuse and the meth abuse right now. And then that all kind of intertwines because then you have the increased children that are out of home, and so you have that issue there, but then you also have the increased jail populations, and then once somebody has gone through that, then they now have a big barrier to both employment and to housing.
Right.
Because what a lot of people don't realize is that if you have a drug conviction, you're not eligible for any housing assistance through HUD, and so that really limits. That's
huge.
That's a limit to a lot of people, and so that creates another issue. And so it's one of those things that we all need to work together because it's all interconnected. And so that's where I really believe that in order to overcome these barriers, we need to work together. So accomplishing more together. I know one of the things that you mentioned that you guys are trying to do is to get the message out there more about county and city and the school board, which I think is fantastic because the county functions differently than the city. The city is not as constrained because it's not attached to the state like the county board is. And so a lot of people don't understand that difference. So that's great. One of the things that I've been talking about trying to bring back is there was a shared services committee previously. And so what that did, that had representatives from the Eau Claire County Board, the City Council, and the school board. And so they would meet and they would kind of talk about issues that affected all of our areas. And I was looking back and it looks like that group hasn't been active since around 2014 or 2015. And so that's one of the things that I would like to bring back as well, because I think that if we have the time to sit down and to meet together, we can put all of our heads together and face these issues because, you know, they're huge. And it's not just none of these issues are just a county issue, and none of them are just a school board issue, and none of them are just a city issue. All of these things are affecting all of us, and we all represent the citizens of Eau Claire. And so in order to make sure that we're being most efficient and we're making the best use of our taxpayers' dollars, how can we work better together?
I agree with you 100%. This is now kind of your opportunity to let your constituents know about why they should vote for you.
I think The biggest reason why I think that people should vote for me is the reason why I'm doing this is because I care.
Yeah.
This is my hometown. This is where I grew up. This is the reason why I'm doing this is because I want Eau Claire to continue to be a place where everybody can learn and live and be happy. But the main reason why I would ask them to vote for me is because my goal is to be their voice. I want to make sure that people have their voices heard and are given that seat at the table, and that we have a diverse amount of perspectives at the table when we're making those decisions. I know the county is doing a new initiative, so it's going to be going over the next couple months. I don't know when this interview is going to be aired, but we're partnering with a group called Speak Your Piece, and we're trying to have sit-down conversations with the community members and have open, polite, convenient conversations about county government, and that's what it should be. I view my job as an elected official to be the voice of the people that I represent, and that has probably been one of the things that has surprised me the most about my first term of service is that it seems like the county board kind of flies under the radar.
Yeah.
You see a lot in our local news and our local media about, what the city council is doing and what the school board is doing, but I feel like the county board doesn't get quite as much press. And so with our citizens being so busy already and so active, how can we as their representatives do a better job of getting that information out to them? So where they don't have to come and speak to us, how can we go to them and to have that conversation with them and meet them where they're at? And so we did a couple of listening sessions in kind of the beginning of my term where we partnered with different people up on the north side from city council and county board and did that. We might try it again, but one of the things that we're realizing with that is, like I said, people are busy. They don't have the time to come down and to sit down and chat with me. And so the biggest thing is just letting people know that I'm there, I'm available. The phone number is my cell phone number, so I am always there to call or text at any time because we really want to hear from you. We especially when we're making decisions, I can read a fact sheet that gives me all of the statistics and things like that, but what's really meaningful is when those people either call me or email me or come in for public comment. And so I want more of that. And how do we create an environment that makes it easy for people to do that? How do we make it easy for people to participate? So.
Well, I want to thank you for taking your time this morning. Melissa is running for re-election, and we are, the one biggest thing that we're trying to get across is for everybody to go out and vote.
Absolutely.
This is so important, and you can see that there's a lot of push to try and do things differently, and so I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Absolutely.
This is so nice. Thank
yes,
you so
thank
much.
you so much for making the time. It was wonderful chatting with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.